Goedenavond iedereen, welkom dat jullie, I'm going to talk in English, I'm sorry. Hello everybody, thank you for watching the new LifeSpace interview. Today I'm talking with Cédric Etienne from Studio Corkinho, an Antwerp-based designer. First, thanks to Arlu, who are sponsoring this LifeSpace interview. Arlu is a producer of high-end door furnishings. I'm sorry for my English. So check them out on their website. They have very nice high-end things. I'm going to get Cédric on the stage. Hello, Cédric.
Good evening.
Nice to meet you. First, I always like to start with the question, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, thank you very much for having me tonight. It's a real pleasure to share some moment. We are here now at the still room, and usually introductions are not my strongest point. So since I love silence and create stillness to try to create a barrier between the outside and inside, I just propose to make to have a warming up together to travel inwards and have a little moment of silence, of contemplation, to just imagine something inner peace, or you can just like plant a candle in your heart and feel warm at home or where you are. Just travel inwards, close your eyes, and I would say focus on your breath, and it will be not too long. We don't have a lot of time, but it's just a moment to stand still to this moment and feel the energy of having this moment together. All right, so I'll be back in a few moments. So
I will close my eyes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
So welcome back, Yoka. Yes. I have maybe a question for you.
Okay.
How much do you think this moment lasted approximately? Like less than 30 seconds, less than 45, less than 60, or more than a minute?
I think less than 60.
More than 60 seconds?
No. I think about 50 seconds, more or less.
Okay. That's quite a good one, because we were just right 42 seconds. It's just an exercise, that a cycle of that is an important number in as a proportion of breath work, but most of it is that people has different perception of silence, you know. So silence is pretty abstract for a lot of people, and when you talk about the architecture of silence, I'm not talking about only silence as a matter, but more as the experience of traveling inwards. So presenting myself in this kind of context is like a few years ago, I really enjoyed a turning point in my life where I felt the urge or the need to travel, and not traveling just for having an adventure, but traveling just to elevate my perception of traveling inwards, to feel something more than just the physical side of life. So I went on a Vipassana retreat in nearby Kyoto in Japan. So Vipassana, I don't know if you know it. It's like 10 days of silence.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really living with the monk in a monastic temple, in a Buddhistic temple, and doing all the daily routines, the daily rituals to without talking. So it's really a confrontation of the mind.
Yes.
And but you feel a lot, you really feel a lot, like this energy that is present. So I hope some of us that are present here tonight to feel this energy. And silence, just as an introduction, is not something like absence of sound. It's more like how to be in a kind of a distraction-free environment.
Mm-hmm.
So the silence is more something, a kind of a state of mind where you feel completely one with the presence, with presence, and that is, it can be here. But for example, I hear the cars outside. At your home, you could hear the neighbors walking on the ceiling or whatever. So it's not something that is completely no sound. It's more like no distraction. So that's a little, I think, interesting introduction. Me
Yes.
being an interior architect that is fascinated by this potential energy, and I give you back the word to pursue this journey together.
How did you get to start this journey to searching for silence? Have you always been?
In a previous chapter, I was.
Oh, I think yes. Okay. Can you hear
Do
me?
you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, I can
hear you.
Okay.
So the question was, how did I come into this kind of mindset? True?
Exactly. Yeah? Yes.
In a previous creative chapter, I was doing a lot of setting designs, scenographies for multinational brands like Giorgio Armani or Yves Saint Laurent. So everything was about the tension to scream out a loud message during a fashion show of 20 minutes. So my life was really, I loved it, but fueled with a lot of energy going outwards. And at a certain point, not that I was empty or that I was just like in a bad mindset, but it was more a need, like finding this peace of mind, this stillness, just to be more anchored and to understand, like, who am I, what am I doing, in a more, maybe intellectual, spiritual way, but more in the fact that, and that was a trigger to understand more about the space, the consciousness of space. Okay, you have space as a unit of walls, a kind of a shelter. You can have like what we call architecture, but what is the potential energy of space? How does it bring you something more deeper in a sensorial way? So.
And you went to Japan on this retreat for 10 days, it wasn't? Afterwards, did you visit Japan as well? Because we're going to see some references, I think, of Japan in your work as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, for
a reference,
for a pretty strange reason, I've been fascinated by. Yes, absolutely. It's Japan has always been a source of inspiration, because I love the respect I have towards nature, towards time and space. Dimensions are, when you look at the Japanese tea houses, it's so well calculated that the principle of the ma is the empty space between two notes. So it's kind of this void is very present in the Japanese culture. And this void is seen as a potential source of energy, and there is a lot of meaning and a lot of emotion in this sacred void. I went back to Japan after this. It was not 10 days. I did 10 days, but I stayed like 5-6 weeks traveling by bike. Doing all the Tadawando Islands, Naoshima, Teshima, but also visiting some architecture from Shinohara. And like we're very lost in this kind of pleasure that is completely something that is not only like figurative, but it's also being there, not understanding everything, and trying to find the way to understand. That's amazing. Yeah.
I'm going to skip a little bit to this picture because it's a very important one for your work and for your company, what you do, and that's cork. You can also hear it in the name, Studio Corkinho.
Yeah.
How did you get to this material? Because it's not the most conventional, can I say, amongst interior designers to use cork as high material or valued material.
I think cork got me. It's
Okay.
it was a very interesting like design context organized by Z33, Z33 in Hasselt. It was like conceptualizing an idea and trying to get it into the market. And since I was doing a lot of setting design and scenographies, I got a little bit uncomfortable with the fact that there's a lot of waste and a lot of garbage. After a big production of 25 minutes, most of it, unfortunately, goes to the container because it's so custom made. And so it's an industry with a lot of waste. Now, there are a lot of solutions to reuse, etc. But I had a kind of insight that I would love to use a material that's more sustainable, more circular, a bit more also trying to reuse it in different ways, like a unit. And I bumped into cork, after it was just a research, a study to make like bricks or blocks. And I kind of got a reward from the contest. So I could build a little pavilion during the Triennale at the sea mine in Genk in 2014. So that was a little bit the start of this relationship with cork. And then I traveled to Portugal, and then I completely fell in love with the stillness of the harvest. And the pictures you saw before, these are really very strong images of craftsmanship and where the human comes completely in fusion with nature. So
and what we see here is cork as well, and I think this is perfect example that cork is not what most people have in mind. And the brownie, well, this is brown as well, but how do you explain the color?
It's this kind of
from a bottle, or the ugly floors at your grandmother's house. It's a totally different aesthetic that you achieve here.
What you are saying here is exactly the core of our studio, is working on perception. So it's really like, this is something that I always carried in my pocket, also when I build spaces in a more temporary dimension for these scenographies. I always love to have metaphors, always love to start from a narrative part. And here the challenge is how to elevate the awareness of the perception of something that is already existing for so many years, but trying to present it in a more, contemporary, a way where you have a lot of research on materiality. So this is all cork. It's our materiateca. It's really something where we play around to actually, it's cork, but not as you have already seen it. So it's this, and then you become in a very strong tension, and people get curious, and they say, cork, I know it from the wine, from so it's this is also the way of Corkinho, this kind of little twin brother, but in the kind of in another perception angle.
So you have this material and pure cork, but you do things with it to give it a different look, or is it mostly kept in the original state that it's been given to you?
So our partner in Portugal is really a fantastic. collaborator in looking into cork and bringing it to in a different appearance, you know. So I feel myself more a kind of narrative designer about how many dresses cork can wear, you know. So the patina and the craftsmanship about how to give this poetic dimension to what is something that is pretty boring at the beginning, like cork is when you have the lighter color, it's not, so we burn it, we transform it, we're really going to grind it and recompose without losing the properties of its benefits. Like it stays an amazing acoustic material, an amazing thermic material. So it was more a research on how to make it more sexy, let's say like that, and more timeless and contemporary. And this is where the intervention is there in the craftsmanship, how to transform the texture.
Yeah. So you experiment a lot, I suppose. You have an own atelier, then maybe a workshop where you just do things with it and see what the outcome is.
Yes, absolutely. It's a very passion driven studio, and a very passion driven I really take care of my team, that they stay kind of excited of when we take pictures. They see, wow, we did that, you know. So it's really a micro community at our studio to push the boundaries of the matter, you know. So that's for us very important. And then how we gonna create with that matter a spatial experience, you know, a space, an interior, an installation, a wall. So it's this kind of dialogue between the texture, then actually the light, and then the space, because light is the giver of texture. So it's a very nice dimension, how to stay playful and have fun. That's super important.
Exactly. And I think it's a good lesson for all the interior designers watching. You have to have fun, and I think it's important, right? You have to be proud of what and find the joy. And then I think,
so if it's not fun, then you're
going to see it in the end result, I think, as well. If you don't have fun, if you don't put yourself in the design. Oh, that's how I feel it.
It's also putting the hands at work, and not because we are a very cerebral, we are a very brain generation, you know, where everything is on the screen. We have so we really try to integrate no screen workshops, moments to play with that. So it's about the movement and the coordination between brain and hand, and by trying out, you have the poetics of the accidents, then something new comes out, you know. So
a great example of that philosophy as well is the room that you're in right now. We can also see the outside of the building here. Let's see. No, this is not it. I think it's not the same space.
I'm sitting on that chair.
Yeah,
it's the same space. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and it's your still room in Antwerp.
Yes.
Maybe you can elaborate
absolutely.
a bit about that. How did you get to design a still space? It's not very conventional in our country, I suppose.
Yeah, it was also, again, these travels, I see it more as a pilgrimage of silence. So I visited over the 150 sacred spaces, from chapels to cloisters, monasteries, and every travel is linked or connected to that kind of moment. Now I'm going to Berlin next week, so I would love to meet the Feuerle collection, to visit the Feuerle collection by John Paulsen, and trying to find and then study and look at I call it the architectural conditions of what makes a space a silent space, you know. So So you can really play, and we start to play with the patina to really dim, because we are here in a 19th century, 11-meter high hydraulic power station. So it's a classified heritage building from in the harbour of Antwerp, and we really started to play with. There's a big flood of light coming in, smashing into the space, so everything is reflecting. So finding the right formula to have this kind of gray, warm gray, like plaster, lime plaster, it was really a challenge, because the light is really present, and then trying to dim everything. And my ambition is, when you enter the space, that kind of your heartbeat goes down. Just like, it's like landing in your inner home. And this is a kind of a result of an interpretation of the monastic cell for the modern human, of course. And there is a daybed, there is a big, like, I call it the tatami, but more a contemplative platform where we organize yoga workshops, where we organize meditations, silent meditations, but also qigong, sound journeys. So with contributors, we invite them and we create this kind of experience moments, because I think architecture doesn't have to be only like an aesthetical manifesto. It's how you're gonna leave the space, how the space will talk to you as well, and how the materials will kind of enter in dialogue with your subconscious power. So I love the fact that it touched me in such a positive way when I came back from Japan, that I started these visits to these beautiful sacred architectures, Europe, but also Latin America, and then a little bit, everywhere where I was passing by. And that was something that I felt more elevated as a human. So I just wanted to share this with to have some senseful approach, and to share this with the people who like to come and visit it. So during the first lockdown, I invited students to come and study here, because they couldn't get focused at home. They couldn't get focused. There was no library, or there was no closed. So one by one, I said, look, we had a partnership with the University of Antwerp, the architecture students. So then we have also CEOs that are coming here just as a kind of a satellite office to recharge, and to really have this kind of distraction-free environment that is so important today, because our concentration span is so, I'm not going to use that word, it's so badly influenced by all the devices and the speed of life. We are running on the very high speed lane. So trying to find this kind of emptiness as a ritual was actually my angle to start this still room.
Amazing. Do you I suppose that people actually leave the room totally different and much calmer and at ease when they have
we have a lot of we have different reactions, because again, silence is a pretty abstract phenomenon in our culture, in our society. You talk about silence in Japan differently than you talk about silence here, or in the United States, or in Mexico City. So it's super, inspiring to have this feedback. And here as well, we try to work on the perception of silence in the end. Like we try to work on the perception of cork. We want to redefine and re-evaluate the potential of silent moments of a still room in our everyday lives, and how we can, enter in this kind of state of mind. So a lot of people say they discover a dimension that they have lost, a very strong we had here also with an amazing friend, Kundalini practices. So it's very energetic. So you kind of discover the best version of yourself. That's something that we now hear more and more, that they really are able to ground and connect with this kind of higher potential, and feeling more fully energized and recharged after an hour of silence a week, you know. So it's not like super esoteric or strange practices. It's just a simplicity, and that's what I said. I think silence could be a kind of a currency that will change people's
It's a luxury as well.
well-being. And
yeah, I can imagine it's very confrontational for some people to enter a still
absolutely. So that's why I said it. You have different reactions, and you have people who become really uncomfortable, because the voice comes here, but then you try to center and to travel inwards and let the voice fly like a cloud, and then it's like a deep cleanse of your mind, you know. So
so people can come to your space on appointment, I suppose. We can make an appointment.
We have a winter break between November and March, just to rethink. It's also a space that is for now not heated. I love it because I kind of calm down in that kind of monastic cold, but it's not very appealing for a lot of people. But between March and end of September, we do workshops, and then people mail us and call us, and it's really a place to visit, and we are super happy to share this with the people.
So I suggest our viewers to keep an eye on best your Instagram maybe, or your website.
Instagram is fantastic as a reference to be up to date. We are renewing the website, so also we're gonna have a very beautiful newsletters on what we're gonna do this summer. So, or just give us a call and
great. So you have this still room, but you also design other things like this piece here. Maybe you can explain a bit more about this.
So in 2020, I had the honor and the pleasure to meet now a very good friend, Tanguy van Quickenborne from Van de Wegen. And after a dialogue, he approached me to conceptualize, cork as a finishing material for interior. So they do natural stone, of course, but then in a group called the Just a Stone, you have Dominique the Simple Tiles, you have Huus painting, and then you have other brands in the interior contract sector, and Studio Corkinho. So we took a year, the time to conceptualize surfaces to build silent or still atmospheres, but not really only for that, of course, but that you can use it as a tile or as a panel or as a brick. So the upcoming pictures you will understand better what it is. But this is kind of a composition of what we call the ARC projects. So it's architectural patina from burned cork, and you can use it just as a finishing. So we have a couple of finishings here. We have a lot of formulas, but we try to focus on 2-3 formulas to create this nuance from the burned cork. And it's just to glad to cover a wall and benefit from the acoustic factor of cork. So it's redefining the cork tile that we don't want to talk about in something more expressive, but also more contemplative, and trying to connect what we achieve with the philosophy of the architecture of silence, to have this beautiful raw volcanic material as partner to enter in dialogues with architects, that they can use it in their interiors or as a furniture finishing. And
so every square or rectangle you see here is cork.
Absolutely, everything is cork. So we brush, we burn, and I found myself a new pleasure time. So it's going in the cabin when you normally sandblast, but we do it with other particles to really create this volcanic raw burned cork texture. So yeah, but everything is cork there.
I think it's super beautiful. It's amazing. Yeah, and I think many people will be astounded by what they see now. It's beautiful. And you create
Thank you.
a piece of art with it. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a fantastic partner in Paris, Sinople Gallery, and we are really experiencing and going a bit out of our object zone, going more into installation, or just like getting into the space. And we are not like promoter of full cork interior. We also, and the steel room is really combining and entering in dialogue with a new contemporary material, because there is this feeling also biophilia. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's a biophilic design. It's really, our mission is to bring people closer to Mother Earth, but also to their true nature, and having this skin from the bark of the cork oak. It's it's pretty awesome how it impacts your spatial sensation. These are also how we play around, like I told before, how we play around in the atelier to make all kind of finishings,
And you also advise other designers how to use the material, I suppose. They can come to you. Well, you will be the expert and guide them in the process of using cork in
Absolutely. So we are also Studio Corkinho. So we are also a studio that position ourselves as a cork artisan. So we really want to be the best ambassador for the material. There's a lot of misunderstandings about the material, like is it sustainable? Will it disappear if you use it too much? So it's nice to have this dialogue to give them really the truth about it and the poetics about it, and really try to. So we work from two kind of products, like a sheet of a certain thickness or a block, and from the sheet you can make kind of compositions, or you can use it as a product, to use here as a shelf. So the dark brown shelf, massive shell installation, is something that you can use as a very nice detail and finishing in a very serene and sober interior, and using our kind of wisdom about how to make it more raw, how to varnish it, how to polish it, how to really finish it, brings another story in the space. And this is what I like I said before, this is an example of a kind of a piano room. Like a client wanted to have a kind of a tactile floor, so we made these bricks, and the piano is on it, on a little basement, a little platform, and the whole sensation of taking off your shoes, entering the space, sitting at your piano, the smell. Sometimes people 99% love it because it's a little bit burnt. It's really relaxing. So yeah, it has multifacets to use it in a very poetic way.
It speaks to all your senses because it's very textural, and then you talk about the smell and the visual. So it's a very all-round experience with this material.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I can see here you use it around a fireplace, so it's also a material that can withstand the heat, I suppose. And
Absolutely, this is a beautiful collaboration for the Star Chef restaurant managed by Sergio Herman in Katzand, Pure Sea, and it's a collaboration with the Put for the open fireplaces. And we did the finishing. So this is a very concrete case study since 2 years and a half now. And I got some feedback from the manager of the restaurant that a lot of people come and touch and try to understand what it is. So it's a very monolithical, massive body that you place into the space. It has an acoustic impact, but it has also this kind of it's not expected, so it's something that tells a story. And for the restaurant there, I'm super proud because they are amazing designers that have collaborated with it, and we are a small part of it. So very nice opportunity to
And how many people are you? It's you? You are the founder?
I'm the founder. I have a Swedish co-founder, Klaas Dahlqvist. He's living close to Gothenburg. So we kind of, both of us, kind of set the idea of Studio Corkinho. And then we have an amazing team. So it's a team. It's my creative family. It's we are like 2 people next to me working as interior architects, designers, and then we have some freelancers. So we have I have something with Charlotte because there are 3 Charlotte working at the studio, and 2 of them are Charlotte de Klerk. So it's pretty interesting. We have Charlotte Calloway, and then we have Carol Gomez, very talented student, and Jeff Teerling is doing some visualizations for us, working. And then we have someone from France that we work. She's been here a long time last year, more as an artisan, working with me and with the team on the formula. So we are a pretty small, compact team, but that allows us to be multi curious and trying to learn from each other. So I don't want to lose the creative part, and life will tell how we grow, but this is really the right size for now.
Amazing. What we see here, I'm not sure if people at home can read it, but this is tatami. So it's again the Japanese influence.
So it's a fantastic collab with 2 brothers from Berlin, the brothers Hagius, Nicholas and Timothy. They opened, for me, one of the most innovative, immersive, and also very a vital concept around well-being. And it's not really a gym. It's not really something that is more like yoga practice, but it's how to approach movements and how to have your right custom-made movement program. And here we have the ritual room, actually. So before people goes to their session, they have a moment of contemplation to prepare for their session. And it's a cutting-edge architecture, interior architect by González Haas, German architecture studio, and it was a nice collab to design the space. And we kind of very subtle created this burned cork tatami floor, and upon this, our friends from Aoiro, they are olfactive designers. They designed the atmosphere, the olfactive atmosphere. And we have also like cork cube as a cork diffuser. So it's really multisensorial. You enter there, you take your shoes off, you sit on the cork, you drink a glass of a cup of tea, you have your shot of olfactive stillness, and then you are prepared, fully recharged to go into the ring. So because they have boxing practices, they have like primal movement practice. So it's a very, very holistic approach of what the gym 2.0 should be.
What do you mean with cork diffuser? Is it the scent that you, or did I misunderstand?
Absolutely. So you have we designed with our hero a collection called the Hakudo collection, and it's a cork cube that we treat on the surface, and you can dip just the essential oil, and then it can be used as a cork diffuser. So it can be used as a diffuse object, so you can put it on your desk, you can put it as a kind of a little journey in your interior, and the scent is kind of inspired from a Japanese rain spirited forest. So it's really when after the dry summer, the heavy rains come, that the soil kind of evaporates. That's the kind of sensation. And the Buddhist monks did this kind of practice, meditating in nature, to recharge their spirit with the spirit of the rain. So that's the metaphor there, and it's inspired from a 16th century Japanese philosophy, the Kodo, and Kodo is the art of listening to scent. So we also do Hatha yoga with the Hakudo Rain collection. So it's really an olfactive Hatha yoga. So you really do your breath work, but with this olfactive dimension, and it brings you really into deep stillness.
And I can imagine that the essential oil and the cork make a very unique combination of scent. I think something that
I'm maybe not the best person to ask that, but I think it's just awesome. It brings you really this moment of some minutes. I use it as a brain break between two meetings, or when I have to travel from point A to B. It's super light. I have it in my bag. It's like, it's a shot of energy. So
super. This is, correct me if I'm wrong, these are the blocks that you use, but you made an art installation out of it? Or
here it's we were playing around with this arc collection. Like, you have the surfaces like we showed before, and this is like an interpretation of some artifacts or archetypes with this burnt cork massive beams. So you can really play, and in the next slide you can see different scenarios, how to use it. So this is just a case study to enter in dialogue with designers, architects, and having this kind of sharing. Hey, how could we build a space divider made out of this kind of cork bark? So it's a massive wall, and you can say, okay, the seat or the lounge there, you can use it as a outdoor furniture, and then the cork could patina over time, or you could just like pigment it and make it more darker, or whatever you want to do. So and the daybed is also a pretty amazing work. We had super lots of fun to think about how to translate the daybed in its most primitive way. So it's really like cork beams, and then we had this wonderful collaboration with Isabel Yamamoto, that is doing the linen the linen cushions and the linen tatami there as well, and it's filled with cork granules. So it's really taking the shape of your body, and you really are able to land in the moment, and allowing yourself not to be disturbed, and allowing yourself to feel completely endless and one with the moment. So we are working also on the kind of a well-being layer. So we try to find something that brings back to Mother Earth, but also that triggers you to raise up the better version of yourself. You know, so that's something that we really like. And here you see the bigger picture is yeah, this kind of daybed tatami, and then we are very grateful that we could like work together, Heath in Dubai, to also curate some furniture, and we have there our yeah, coffee table at the center of the picture. So you see how to combine this with other materials becomes something very I mean, yeah, close to what we want to do. It's really bringing people close to nature and making them more aware of this dialogue they have.
Super. It's a very noble mission, I suppose, to really go for the well-being of the people that use the space, because it's always, a lot of the time you search for a practical way of filling the space and also the aesthetics, but really going and finding a better version of yourself, I suppose that's not something that many interior designers per se use as a goal. Well, I can imagine it's very unique approach, in my opinion.
Thank you very much for the good energy you share with us. It's for us, it's something vital. I couldn't imagine myself doing something else. It's really really our ground, and yeah, we just try to find signals and trying to inspire people to understand the impact of space on your health, on your mood, on your happiness. And here we played around to think about a kind of a still cabin, a still shelter, and trying to play like how could a still room be designed on a remote, in a remote dimension. So this is a bit yeah, some studies and exercises we have made for clients, how we work with light, how we work with this kind of a bit small living architecture, and that we try to I mean, to eliminate as much as possible, to keep the energy of the space as pure as possible. So it's but still with a very human approach.
I think that's the how do you say it in English, the rode draad, the red thread. I don't think it's I don't know if it's an expression in English, but that's kind of the constants in your work, the human human-centered design. Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm going to quickly go to the last slide because I can see that we are almost done with our time. Maybe some people that are watching can still ask a question. Please do if you have a question. I would love to ask Cédric. But maybe you can have or give a tip to people that want to be more or want to design more with this human-centered vision. Do you have a takeaway that you can give?
Yeah, I think we are living in a wonderful era because change is happening. So I think now with what I could share, it's just like trying to understand what is living behind your voice. You know, is it me that is talking, or is it the idea behind of talking, or is it something that is more influenced by whatever, and trying to get really in this kind of one-to-one connection with yourself and allowing yourself to do nothing sometimes, you know, just allowing yourself to have this 1 minute, 60 seconds, 2 minutes, start as you feel comfortable with, you know. So because inside there's something way bigger than you have ever dreamt in the outside world, you know. So you can feel connected with way more people than being connected on social media, you know. You can really feel deep grounded love with the people around you, with your partner, with your friends, with. So as a creative mindset, you always want to be the first to publish something, to
ego
close to
speaking.
the world.
Yeah.
I think doing the opposite, just like slowing down, because this is, for example, maybe just as a final note, it's a beautiful architectural study we are doing for a hospitality group called Slow, and they have some projects in Portugal. So it's a contemplative sanctuary, but with a meaning to elevate the longevity or your well-being, you know. So it's a kind of cloister of health, I call it, or a sanctuary of well-being, in other words. So here we have this study of a monastic architecture with the cloisters in a very contemporary brutalistic way, but with these voids and with this where the eye travels inwards. And this is something, bringing still room in a hospitality context where people will have this travel to go somewhere, to not only travel and show the nice beach on Instagram, but also to travel inwards. That's something that I think will be pretty useful in this life stage, you know. And if I can give a little bit of that, or inspire people to have this 2-3 minutes of silence a day, you know, they after a month they will already feel the difference. So it's for free, you know, it's out there. And but it makes a lot with your happiness and with your heart, and knowing, yeah, truly how to connect with the meaning of your soul. So yeah.
Wow. Well, I think it was a very inspirational talk that we had. I'm pretty sure that our viewers will think exactly the same. Thank you very much for being here. It was a true pleasure. And if people have any questions, they can always contact you, I suppose.
Yeah, we'll answer them with pleasure. I thank you, Yoga. I thank the association INB, and yeah, I'm really grateful and honored to be part of your program, Live Space, and I really hope that we can keep in touch.
Yes, I hope so too. It was really great, and yes, thank you, and thank you everyone for watching as well. And we'll see you in the next live space, or maybe in real life.
Have a wonderful evening. Bye bye.
Bye.